when they're going to start watching your channel is stop worrying about these other folks. Stop worrying about these other folks because they don't care. First of all, if you are a brand new content creator, or if you're thinking about becoming a content creator, you've been thinking about this for weeks, months, and years, and you've been too afraid to even try it because you're afraid of what people are going to think, and you're afraid of how you're going to look on camera. You just don't know anything at all about editing. You don't know anything about this whole platform. Well, listen, don't worry about it. You know why? Because YouTube is on easy mode. It's 2025 and it's time to thrive. I'm telling you, let's make this money. If you think you can't get on this camera, in front of this camera and say some things, then you're mistaken. If I can do it, anybody can do it. First of all, you just got to have some confidence. You got to know that you can do it, regardless of what someone else may say, what you might think they might say, because in actuality, they really just don't care. They're not going to be looking at your content until they see you blow up, until they see you glow up. And then, yeah, you're going to hear some chatter. You're going to hear some, because you know why they're going to be chattering? Because they're going to try to figure out how you're making this money. So just get started. Don't worry about how you're going to start out. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it could be terrifying because you're not used to talking into it in front of a camera. You're just not used to it. So don't worry about that. First of all, let me tell you this. Don't come in with this YouTube voice, with this customer service voice, upbeat, but not cringy. You don't want to sound like, hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. That is so goofy. What worked back then is not working now. So don't come in with that attitude. You know what that YouTube voice is. You do want to provide some good, some useful and relatable information, something that is going to grab your audience. You need to get that hook to grab your audience and to have them to stay on that platform watching your content as long as possible. You want to be able to retain them. So you got to talk about something that's interesting. You got to talk about something to solve a problem. You have to talk about something that's going to be relatable. You know what they're going through, what you're going through. Let's help each other out. You got a manager on your job and they just doing the most. You know, we all have those. Or you got this coworker that's doing the most. Just talk about that. Get some advice on some great health tips or something that's going to be useful, something that we can all glean from. Oh, is that right word I want to use?
Good question.
Coming up with some content can be very challenging at times, but let me drop a little gem. Here's the thing. Don't overthink it. Let me say that again. Don't overthink it. Pick a topic. Pick something that you're comfortable talking about. Pick a topic that you can talk about for 10 minutes without even thinking about it. Just get it going. Just start. Pick that topic. Run with it. Don't overthink it, because when you start overthinking everything that you're going to say, of course, you know, you might get that little brain fog, and you don't want to do that. Just pretend like you're talking to a good friend. Just pretend like you're talking to your neighbor or maybe a relative. The same way you would talk to them, that's the same way you want to relate to your audience, like as if you're just talking to a friend, because, hey, you guys are my friend, right? I don't think I even introduced myself. Listen, I am Mrs. G, and I want to be your favorite auntie. So take it from Mrs. G. Take it from your favorite auntie. Don't overthink it. Just move with it. Just pick a topic and just flow with it. Pretend like you're talking to a best friend. Pretend like you're just talking to someone, you know, that you went on the street. Well, I don't want to say on the street, but, you know, we don't talk to folks on the street like that. But I'm just saying. And you'll be surprised at how easily things will start to flow. And before you know it, you've already been on the camera for 15 minutes talking. So don't overthink it. Just speak it. You know, don't overthink it. Just what I said, just speak it. So I got another little gem I want to drop. You might think that you need this fancy camera. You might think you need all the fancy lights and all the fancy stuff. Well, guess what? You don't. All you need is one of these. You just need a phone. Phones these days are so fabulous when it comes down to the cameras. They have amazing cameras nowadays. So you don't have to have no fancy dancy camera, no fancy dancy equipment. But you do need to have good audio, because people will put up with a little cringy, little, you know, shaky camera, little shaky visuals, but they want to be able to hear what you're saying. So you got to make sure that you have good sound. And listen, when it comes down to lighting, you want to have a relatively well lit area so that your face can be seen, and you don't want to have a bunch of busy stuff in the background. Just a little, you know, little something in the background, just something to give the audience a little something to look at. But you don't have to have all that fancy lighting and all that stuff. And another way that you can record, you can actually record outside. Do your videos outside. Use what God gave us, the beautiful sunlight. If you can just sit in front of a window with some natural light coming in, you'd be surprised how great that is, how much it'll make your skin look so beautiful. Just joking. But yeah, you don't need to worry about all this fancy lighting. Just use natural sunlight. You just need good lighting so that your face is visible to the camera, and not all that fancy stuff. Because if you're doing anything else, if you're buying all this fancy equipment, well, you don't even know if you want to do this for long. So don't go and buy all this fancy equipment. If you're using anything right now, starting out, more than just your camera and maybe a ring light or maybe some natural light, you're doing too much. You're just being fancy. You're just being fancy. You don't got to start out to be fancy. Just start out simple with your camera, some natural lighting or a ring light or two, and just get started. Turn that camera on your phone and just do you. You don't have to pretend to be somebody else. Don't get that imposter syndrome when you're trying to act like somebody else, because, I mean, who needs 1,000 views? You know, we don't need 100 more people just like you. We need to hear from you. You are unique. God has created each of us individually, fearfully and wonderfully made. So that means that there's only one you. So you don't have to have the imposter syndrome and pretend to be somebody that you're not. Just be yourself. Just speak natural. Keep it moving. Just do you. All right. So here's another content creation idea. So one thing, you want to be part of what's trending. So you want to make content by pulling from things that are already happening in the news, things that's going on now, things that's happening in the world today. You want to stay trending. You want to stay current. So there's so much stuff happening nowadays. I mean, how can you not find something to talk about? But do your research, give some great information, because a lot of times the news as we know it, the normal channels on TV, the normal, media channels, they're not giving you the real deal. So this is why it kind of sucks that TikTok is supposedly going to be banned. You found out all kind of things that you wouldn't normally hear on the regular news channels. So if you haven't already started on YouTube, you better start, because a lot of those people are going to be coming from TikTok and they're going to be coming over to YouTube. So now's the best time for you to go ahead and get started. Get your channel out there, get your content out there. It's going to be a flood coming real soon because of the ban that's supposedly going to be happening on TikTok. The key thing here is to just make sure that you're using content that is current based on things that are happening right now in the world. Just make sure that you're pulling from that. And you can't go wrong with that, because, if you're telling the truth about stuff, people want to hear the truth nowadays, because we don't get the truth all the time. We just get what they want us to hear. I want to go down that conspiracy theory rabbit hole, but, talk about things that are actually happening now. You can't go wrong with that. So you might just have to fail before you succeed. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you might just have to try different types of content. So you might start out making content about something and it's not really resonating with a particular audience, but you don't know until you try it. So you got to try different things. Just keep trying until you hit that sweet spot and figure out exactly what works best for your audience and what you feel more comfortable talking about. And the thing is, you won't know what it is if you don't consistently post new videos, if you don't consistently record yourself talking about different topics. So you just got to fail sometimes before you succeed. So you just might be blessed and have someone around you that helps give you great content ideas. And if that's the case, yay, you might have someone that can help give you some ideas. And you might have your great video, you might have your great camera person behind the camera that you never see, and they're there helping you get centered and all that good stuff. But whatever it takes, you just got to start. And like I said, you may just fail a couple of times before you actually succeed. That's just like, a baby, they have to crawl before they start taking those steps, and their steps are never like take off running. I don't know, these COVID babies these days, they take off running, but the majority of the time you're going to have to crawl, and then you're going to have to take little baby steps, and then before you know it, you'll be walking, one foot in front of the other, and you'll be walking right along. And then let me tell you, nowadays YouTube is not all about you coming on the camera and you got to be looking all fancy dancy. Hey, you got to have your hair just right, you got to have makeup just right. No, that's not the case nowadays. It's like you just common people coming on camera and you're talking about real life events. You're talking about real life stuff that's happening, and people are really drawn to that. There's nothing wrong with, looking your best. If you want to, if you can, that's fine. And hey, I'm all with that. Try to look as presentable as possible. But it's not like it used to be years ago when if you didn't have your makeup just right, or you didn't have the aesthetically pleasing or appealing place to record in, then you wouldn't do it. So it's not that way now. It's all about just having real people do real things, in the real world. Sometimes you just got to mix this stuff up. You just got to put it in a bowl and stir it up and keep dropping in a few little drops of milk here and there and just keep stirring it. And you pour that thing into that cake pan, then you come up with a beautiful cake. And I said that because sometimes you don't know where you're going to start. Sometimes you don't know how you're going to start, but you just got to get started. You're going to try a few things and you might fail a couple of times. But bottom line is, stop worrying about what other people are going to think. Stop worrying about what other people are going to say, because honestly, honey, they really don't care. It's all about you. It's all about you doing the best that you can do and providing a service that's going to be helpful and something that's going to motivate someone else, something that's going to encourage someone else, or just simple how-to videos, how to fix a leak, how to do hair or something, makeup, nails. There's so many things you can talk about. And if you're 50, well, I say 50, but if you're 40 plus, baby, you are the new niche. You have so much you can talk about, because why? You've already lived some life experiences. And believe it or not, these young folk these days, they need somebody that's a little bit seasoned to help them along their way. And just know that you have something you can talk about. Don't worry about starting, because if you don't ever start, you will not start. And we don't want that. We want to hear your voice. We want to see what you have to say. And we want to all grow together. So let's do this thing in 2025. Let's thrive in 2025. Let's get this thing going. Let's make this money, honey.